Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman, Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com. Check out his award-winning collegiate series, To Preserve the Nation, available at freedomsrisingsun.com. While you're there, also sign up and grab your ticket for the incredible Thursday evening weekly webinars. Every Thursday evening, 7 Mountain, 9 Eastern. People pop in their questions, and the good doctor answers them from a constitutional perspective. Great stuff every Thursday. And then on Fridays, he's on the TV and radio with me, and we usually break down and summarize and talk about some of those topics and kind of what the consensus or the understanding was at the end of the day. So just great stuff, all available at freedomsrisingsun.com. If you want to check out his webinars after the fact, look for Freedom's Call, and you can check that out all over the place. Rumble, what do they call that thing? BitChute, and several places like that. So check all that out. Would like to wish you a very Merry Christmas as well. 2 U.S. Army soldiers, and they say an American civilian who was an interpreter, I guess, were murdered. Killed, they say, in an attack in Syria, the Department of War reported. The incident occurred, I guess there were ISIS counter-terrorism operations underway. 3 others were wounded in the attack. That's according to the Pentagon spokesman, Sean Parnell. The assailant, they say, responsible for the attack was killed by what are called partner forces. U.S. and civilian forces were joined together and were patrolling when attacked. And anyway, it was confirmed by U.S. Central Command. President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth basically issued statements saying, hey, we're going to retaliate big time for this. This is unacceptable. I've got some questions, Doctor. Do you want to respond before I ask my questions, though?
What a tragic travesty. I mean, the loss of these people, and the loss is far wider than you say, oh, just a few lives. I mean, you look at the spouses, the children, the family members, the loss to society and everything else like that. The whole thing is wrong from the beginning. The United States has got boots on the ground, has had for years in Syria. We continue to hold territory there from the Assad years, and the likelihood that the individual that committed these murders was part of our partner forces. And then you say, well, he's got some ISIS connections, whatever. Who the heck is in charge in Syria right now, except for the Al-Qaeda ISIS crew? I mean, all of this stuff, I mean, you're splitting hairs when you say.
Well, and Donald Trump said ISIS was created by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, so, maybe they lead the organization.
Well, so was Al-Qaeda. I mean, you stop and think about it. We create, fund, train, encourage our best enemies. I mean, we've been doing this for decades, almost a century, with the communist nonsense that's been going on in Russia and China and so on. But what we do, we have, and they've lied to us from the beginning. They say 900 troops. Well, 900 troops. Yeah, well, it's a little underestimated. We got armor there. We got infantry there. We're holding oil fields. We are holding agricultural area. And we have partner crews we go in with. And then one of them oftentimes ends up popping a few rounds and killing Americans. And Americans are just a target. That's all there is to it. We should not be there. You say, oh, Bradley, don't you support the troops? Yeah, I do. Let's not put them in harm's way when they don't have a justifiable constitutional authority to do so.
And so that leads kind of my questions, Dr. Bradley, about this thing. First off, the Constitution grants Congress alone the power to authorize war or anything related to it. They control the purse strings, etc. There is no declaration of war. There's no specific authorization from Congress for this one. The continued deployment of U.S. troops in Syria therefore lacks constitutional authority. Executive interpretation and, quote, congressional silence cannot, I report not, ladies and gentlemen, substitute for lawful authorization. Just can't do it. It's not only illegal according to the Constitution, but even if you look at international law, the use of military force without lawful authority constitutes what's called unlawful aggression. Refusing to recognize the international courts on this or anything else, hey, you can do that, But when military force violates both domestic and international provisions, then what? And that's really what we're facing right now, is that Congress has been sidelined. The president allows this to happen. I thought Donald was going to get the troops out. I don't know why we have people in Syria in the first place. And so our people died. But when we say we're going to have extreme retribution or extreme accountability for this, what does that mean? Does that mean more troops on the ground? Does that mean we're just going to start assassinating people while we're on the ground? What does that really mean, Doctor?
Well, that's the problem. This is a kind of an ever-expanding web of deceit that's happening here, and we use whatever excuse, and whether they're real or not, we fabricate our excuses most of the time. Weapons of mass destruction, Saddam and Hussein. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we can create whatever justification we want. I mean, these fishing boats, potentially, I don't know what they are, they're off of Venezuela. Every time we turn around, it's like, oh, look, if the jets that were flying over the Gulf of Venezuela for a half an hour or whatever it was, if someone had taken a pot shot at them, suddenly we would have been justifying in all the full force and effect of the American military. And we just keep creating the excuses to go violate further international, further domestic law. And there's nobody ever calls them out on this thing. What's the difference between our American lives being lost in this particular instance and in the withdrawal from Afghanistan? Oh, there's a few less people killed, but it's just as wrong. And Biden is still, his administration is still getting a rash over how those 12 Americans were killed.
And we can't blame this on Biden. Trump's been there for what?
Well,
11 months now?
Trump was there. He was shooting Tomahawk missiles there when he was in his first administration.
Right.
This
so
is something.
Saying, even now in this term, he hasn't done anything to stop it. Or I don't know why we have troops there. Why don't we just get out? We just came one day. Can't we leave one day?
Yeah. Well, you walked right in, walked right out again. We shouldn't have walked in to begin with. But, okay, so we killed 3 Americans. Okay, that's 1/4 of what were killed with the Afghan withdrawal. What was a mess there with that is a mess here with this.
And we're not saying either's okay, folks. Don't misunderstand our. No. We're not saying the loss of life doesn't matter or that it's a minimal number of people. We're not saying that. What we're trying to do is give you comparative reality, where the Republicans riot when it was Biden, and now, hey, the shoe's on the other foot, and now it's what, a different tune, and that's the problem that we're having, right?
Well, and the way you hold your mouth, I mean, I could take this far afield, Sam, and I never would do anything like that, as you know, but if you stop and think about what these Venezuelan fishing boats or whatever they are, that we don't have any real justification, and certainly in international law and domestic law, UCMG, Uniform Code of Military Justice, and so on and so forth, treatment of prisoners of war, Congress is involved, supposed to be on that, all that kind of stuff. And we get a half a dozen maybe Republicans that had a private briefing with the War Department, and they're saying, yeah, I support this. What in tarnation gives them any authority to say, because those half dozen or dozen or however many there were, give their wink and a nod to it to continue it? That does not constitute constitutional authority. War is the most onerous thing that happens on a nation, and there's checks and balances. There's a process that they go through, none of which have been followed for multiple administrations now. And
I understand. I'm going to play the devil's advocate for a second because I just want to get your take on this. What a lot of people will say is, Sam, listen, we're under assault everywhere. We're the communist Chinese, by all these enemies who hate us, by drug traffickers, by an illegal human invasion, by drug gangs on our streets, and by possible terrorist cells that have crossed the border illegal. We have no time, Sam. We have to just double down and get this done. Everybody's so evil. There's secret combinations everywhere. We've got to do something. I mean, just step back, Sam. Quit being so rash. Quit focusing on every jot and tittle of this thing. We don't have time for all that. I mean, I believe in the Constitution, of course, Dr. Bradley, but don't you understand? This is kind of like crazy. We've got to do something. The bad guys, the secret combinations are everywhere, and so we got to do something. Come on, just lay off and let's get back to that after we deal with this, pardon the pun, emergency. That's what a lot of even conservatives are saying right now, right?
Well, the conservatives are saying that because Donald Trump's involved, the quote-unquote conservatives. They're not conservatives. They're not people that stand with principle. Well, the principles they stand for are erred. But the point of the matter is everything you have brought up has a legal, lawful, constitutional response that can be done with that thing. We don't burn the Constitution down just because somebody's hyperventilating. Well, somebody's good idea, created or not, does not authorize the violation of that. And we can solve all of those things if they will take the proper steps and follow the sound foundation that was originally created.
Yeah, Congress would actually have to get to work. Let's hang tight. Quick pause. We're going to come back. We've got all kinds of problems internationally. We've got some of the same problems domestically. Rand Paul's worried about it. We'll talk about it on Liberty Roundtable Live.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
You know, when Sam was saying he's going to play the devil's advocate, I know he was doing that. We got plenty of devils, by the way, but Sam was just pointing out the fact that there's arguments on the other side, and oh, ain't it awful? We're all going to die. We got to do something, and all this hyperventilating, the arm waving, and the flapping of gums, and everything else like that. And the problem is that so much of this is self-inflicted. We create these environments that we then say we're going to solve with some kind of stretch of the principle. But let's go to the nth degree for just a minute. These people that are trying to rewrite the Constitution, the Convention of the States people, or the Article 5 Convention people, whatever they are, whatever they call themselves, it's all the same thing. They want to rewrite our Constitution. And what they point out is, oh my goodness, we got big debts. We've got things happening that are really shouldn't be happening. We've got to do something. And they hyperventilate, and that's their argument every time. I've debated them in many occasions. We've got to do something. And the problem is something is always the wrong solution in the way these people are coming up, whether it's the fishing boats.
We agree we got to do something, Doctor. What our claim would be, though, is you got to return to the Constitution. It was designed for crisis. It was designed to deal with these, issues that made people hyperventilate. Okay, the Constitution is the answer. We got to do something. We agree. The only question is now you want to do everything but the right answer. Why?
Well, that's the problem. We're turning this over to the people that got us in the problem to begin with. These people that are hyperventilating, swinging their arms around and jumping up and down and making all sorts of noises, they're the ones that got us in the mess to begin with, whether it's the Constitution Convention people, or it's the people that took us to war, or it's the drug thing, or it's the immigration thing, or you pick a subject. It was created in order to create a response that undermines the foundation of liberty. And to say we got to do something, people got to start saying, yeah, let's go back to the foundation. Let's limit government. How do we go into war? Oh, it says it right there. Oh, okay, let's try that. How about the immigration thing?
Hold on. Congress hasn't acted, therefore we can't act.
Well,
Now
Congress
you say, well,
has
Sam,
acted.
Congress needs to act. We need to, they're shirking their responsibility, though. What they want to do is have the president own it. If it goes well, they want to basically take credit, too. If it goes bad, they want to leave the president hanging out to dry. It's a disaster, and it violates the checks and balances, and they should be jealously guarding their authority. And if there really is emergencies, then they need to get together in quorum. We, the people, need to demand they get together and come up with a plan. Right?
Yeah. What's happening right now, it's a management by crisis, and they create the crisis. And every crisis builds on the last crisis. I mean, the Reichstag is burning down. We've got to go after the communists. Let's go to war in wherever. And that's kind of what we're doing in the nation on almost every level. They create a crisis with the Obamacare subsidies. Oh, my goodness, we're all going to die. The people's insurance is going to go up. You created the blasted bill to begin with, and you extended these subsidies until the end of 2025, and now suddenly, oh, by golly, 2025's at the end. We got, we all got to respond.
Now they're going to try to use that doctrine. Well, it's too big to fail, or people have depended on it for so long. The expectations, you've got to keep it rolling. They'll go down that road, which they always do as well. But Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, was on Meet the Press, NBC's Meet the Press. And he expressed concern about the potential for increased political violence due to bipartisan redistricting conflicts. And so the Republicans are trying to redistrict to get an upper hand and gerrymander to their view. They say, no, we're just trying to stop the gerrymandering from the Democrats and make things fair. Then the Democrats say, no, you're gerrymandering. So it's just a matter of which special interest group gets the gerrymandering of the day. In Texas, I guess the Republicans got it. In California, the Democrats got it. And in whatever state, I can't remember, one of the other states, they basically shut them down and everybody's mad. But this is going to possibly turn to political violence, says Rand Paul. I pray it's not true. But again, we're back to this criminalistic view of what parties are. We think they're fine. We think they're okay. But really, parties are the problem. And the founders warned against it. Now we have them. And now they're basically just jockeying, redistricting, gerrymandering. It just, as long as I can gerrymander in my way, it's okay. But if we do it your way, doctor, no, sir. That would be horrible. That would be gerrymandering. Okay, they're all guilty of this, doctor, to be honest with you, and fair.
Well, unquestionably they are. It's said that government is not eloquence, it's not reason, it is force, and like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. What's happening is everybody thinks they can pull the levers of government to whatever they believe is and then the next go around after the election, the next set of bums do the same thing. And what we're finding is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I'm quite encouraged, although Trump feels betrayed by this, that Indiana turned down the gerrymandering thing. And basically the whole concept, I think, that's being talked about by Paul is that what's happening is they're building balkanization of the United States to the point that we fragment our nation. It's a communist ploy that has been used since the time it began. I mean, really back in the French Revolution, where they divided and conquered and they disrupted society with so many awful, ugly things. They built these fragmented little factions to the point that finally society was disrupted, and finally the communists came in and said, let us fix it. We're going to, or Hitler or whomever. Yeah, the ploy works the same all the time, but if it's a conflict-based situation that we overthrow society.
I got an idea. See, if we didn't have parties, though, we wouldn't be debating how these districts went, would we?
Well, see, yeah, you're right. I think that parties really are the basis of so many of our problems today, and I agree completely with the founding fathers.
Because what we want to do is align it to a party's interest or a party's agenda. Hey, if we go and rearrange it on the map to look like this, then the Democrats will have an advantage. And if we engineer it like that, then the Republicans will have an advantage. And everybody wants their advantage, and they complain when they don't have an advantage, but they're fine when they do. And but the reality is parties. If there was no parties, though, we wouldn't be debating this at all. You just simply elect the person that you believe is the most honest, good, moral person in the first place, and nobody would have special privilege at the trough of favoritism, right?
Well, the parties really are doing that now. And then I don't know why only Republicans could see that Bill Clinton had lost his virtue, and only Democrats could see him as a lily white, perfect individual. It's just strictly a party thing. But you know what? Even
and then the opposite's true for Trump, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you play these different tunes, the different whoever party's in charge and whoever party you agree to. But the fact of the matter is there's always been factions. And George Washington,
I think they ought to just redistrict based on how well they like Sam Bushman, don't you think?
I'm not sure anybody would go along with any of that, Sam. I mean, you're going to argue about everything. Point,
though. Why do they have special privilege, though? Why do these parties have special privilege? And then I bring it up to most people across the country, news reporters, journalists, and they usually just kind of go, yeah, you're right, Sam, and then move along like it's not important. But this is the quintessential problem. It's parties. They're causing all these problems.
But before parties, there was regionalism and sectionalism. I mean, this concept, right. I mean, you got a federalist or you've got a Republican. The fact of the matter is they're always playing on the factions. And what happens is we have a ratified constitution that says these are the limits and bounds of government. And you can't overstep that. And if people quit overstepping it, pulling the levers in favor of Obamacare or in favor of some war that shouldn't be fought, the idea is that we have limits and bounds, we operate within those. And Americans, again, I think we really have the solution. We, the people, have got to be engaged. We've got to participate. We've got to understand. And we've got to insist that those we elect to represent us within those bounds keep their actions within those bounds. And
Amen.
Basically,
do you think Rand Paul's right, though? Do you think there's going to be, and I don't know what political violence means. Like, to me, I don't know how you put words before a word and make it change the definition. What the heck is political violence? How is that different than just violence?
You're right. It's wrong. It's just plain flat out wrong. And this idea of the golden rule, do unto others, before they do it unto you, is what it really boils down to in the political arena. But do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And there's so
Isn't
little
political violence just violence? It's kind of like hate speech. Isn't speech just speech?
Well, they make it political because then they can fragment the society and fractionalize it even more, and it becomes a balkanization. And you look at what happened in the Balkans. I mean, everything fell apart. It went to hell in a handbasket.
Do you think that's it's going to go to violence, though? Do you think Rand Paul's right on this?
It already has. I mean, you look at what's happening all over the country right now, and they play this angle. I mean, I'm going to just step into another arena for just a moment. This violence that happened in Australia. Now, Australia has a deep tyranny there going on because of the power of government. Look what they did during
Isn't the whole country a gun-free zone?
It is. Okay, but just the one little point I wanted to make is that this massacre that happened on the beach, the guy that stopped it was a Muslim. I mean, this is a contradiction in terms, but Netanyahu had to say finally, oh, yeah, that guy was a Muslim. Oh, my goodness, he did stop it. How wonderful. But then he turns around and he says, Australia is a whole hate zone because they've said they want a two-state Palestinian solution where the Gazans are represented in a state. But so he lost that talking point when a Muslim stepped in and tackled one of the shooters, and stopped the massacre. But then Netanyahu turns it around and makes it a anti-Semitic thing based on the whole country is guilty of it because they have a position different.
Didn't we just have a shooting at a university over the weekend?
Yeah, it was a Brown University.
So Donald Trump was going to get rid of gun-free zones first day.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what would have happened if we would have got rid of that gun-free zone. Hey, Donald, we're still waiting, buddy. Come on, let's get her done. Anyway, I pray we have less violence, more kindness and love and respect and dignity. When we come back, we'll talk about Mike Johnson. He's losing his grip, ain't he? That's what some say. We'll talk about it. Dr. Scott Bradley and yours truly. You're watching and listening to the one and only Liberty Roundtable Live.
your daily Liberty News Wire. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Prosecutors in Los Angeles have charged 4 members of an alleged terrorist group with plotting New Year's Eve bombings in California. It's being investigated as a homicide, the deaths of actor-director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. Their bodies were found in their Brentwood home in Los Angeles. And one law enforcement source tells the AP that the Reiner's son Nick has been taken into custody. The victims of an anti-Semitic mass shooting in Australia ranged in age from 10 years to 87 years, and the latter a Holocaust survivor.
At least 16 people were killed Sunday after 2 gunmen opened fire at a Hanukkah celebration on Sydney, Australia's Bondi Beach. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is calling it an act of anti-Semitic terrorism.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith.
At least 38 others were injured in the attack. One gunman was fatally shot by police, and the second is under arrest in the hospital in critical condition. I'm Donna Warder.
Investigators probing the deadly weekend shooting at Brown University have now released a person of interest who they had been holding, saying the evidence is taking them, investigators, in a different direction.
I've been around long enough to know that sometimes you head in one direction and then you have to regroup and go in another. And that's exactly what has happened over the last 24 hours or so.
That's Rhode Island's Attorney General Peter Nerona, heard there on WCBB-TV. 2 students were killed in the attack while 9 others were injured. On Wall Street, stocks are in the red this hour. The Dow is down 4 points. The Nasdaq off 66, the S&P 2 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Got any gadgets? Get online protection. NordVPN has a ho-ho holiday deal just for you. Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro feature helps you avoid malware, phishing, and annoying trackers. Just a few taps and you're safer online. Let your gadgets sparkle with online security. Go to NordVPN.com and get up to 77% off plus 3 extra months. NordVPN.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government, and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education, conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Did you have more to say on this violence thing, Doctor?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like we're kind of at a flashpoint, a hinge point. I don't know. I think there's been so much acrimony. There's been so many efforts to build fractionalization into the United States that we really are kind of capitulating to the Communist Manifesto's conflict-based approach to things. And I really am quite fearful that...
yeah, we've been Zelensky'd, haven't we?
Yeah, Zelensky's wrong on everything, isn't he? But at any rate, maybe that's your point.
So, anyway, I pray, it is my point, and I just pray we don't have violence, folks. I really think we need to step back. I'm going to promote my clarion call for civility idea. We need to just step back and calm down a little bit. As my little 3-year-old niece says, Tom. She doesn't say calm down. She says, when she wants you to calm down, she says, Tom. So everybody just needs to Tom a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, to kind of hang. But Speaker Mike Johnson now is kind of in the doghouse. He's struggling to maintain control over the House of Representatives because the GOP members frequently use parliamentary procedures and maneuvers to pass legislation against his wishes. Oh, imagine that. The House passed a bill with a vote count that basically sidelined Johnson. He couldn't stop it. Discharge petitions are now increasingly used by Republicans to bypass leadership and sideline them. Bring bills directly to the floor that way. Notable examples, the Jeffrey Epstein case becoming law, ongoing attempts to force votes on issues before year's end. These tactics literally expose Johnson's weakness and his weakening influence over his party. He's already got a razor-thin majority as it is. Representative Anna Paulina Luna and others are continually pushing these discharge positions, stock trading, health subsidies, the list goes on and on. I think it's a good thing to make the speaker not have so much power, Dr. Bradley. I'm just a little bit concerned about how they're doing it.
Well, if you go back and look in Article 1 of the Constitution, both houses have the authority constitutionally to make their own rules of engagement within the House and the Senate, and they have done that. But what has happened over the years is there's a lot of things. I mean, for example, their seniority process, the Ways and Means Committee, some of these, and the House Speaker himself, in this case, and it was Pelosi before. These people have an inordinate amount of power, and the problem is, one of the problems is that they have this self-perpetuating re-election kind of thing where incumbents are kept there forever and ever and ever because they have all the power. And the more seniority you get, and I've run for office a couple of times, and they say, we can't get a new guy in there because Orrin Hatch has so much power. He's been there for decades, and look at that. And I think what needs to happen is a kind of a soup to nuts, top to bottom review of their parliamentary procedure and their rules of engagement within the House. They have the right to set their own. I think it's high time that somebody reevaluated it and stopped this. The Speaker of the House can block anything and everything until this discharge petition comes up. And now they're chapped about it, and Trump is calling everybody that's doing this a traitor, and he wants to primary him. Massey is at risk. I mean, his constituents there at home may say, you know what, we like what this guy's doing. Or Luna, these people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she got chopped off by a brutal tyrant named Donald Trump. And the fact of the matter is that sometimes there needs to be a power structure realignment. And I think it's high time.
Sure.
And you know what? Jefferson talked about blood being the fertilizer for liberty. I'm not saying to act on blood, but what I'm saying is when people get upset enough, there's sometimes as motivation to take another deep dive and do a look at this thing. And I think it really is time. And Johnson probably isn't the guy to do it because he's going to be a tyrant.
I think we need to challenge the speaker's position, though, and say, listen, the House rules, you guys could say that the House can make its own rules, and yes, they can, but we think in our own rules that we shouldn't have somebody so powerful that they can just on a whim as a single individual block or promote whatever they want to, and nobody else that's been elected, can do anything about it. So you got in the House 435 members, you take out Johnson, so now there's 434, and hey, he can decide, and the 434 just shanghaied, set aside, dismissed, blocked, shut down. At some point, that's got to go too. And the only way I believe that can change is if enough Americans get behind their representatives and demand a change. And then discharge petitions would not only be increasingly used, but there might be other ways to rewrite the rules to be more appropriate and fair. I don't think one man should have that kind of authority or control or power, forcing Congress into lockstep, if you will. So anyway, I think it's an important issue.
It is indeed. And what's happened is the power balance. Every representative comes into there with the same authority as every other representative. They have basically a constituency back home that they're representing. And by the way, they're not supposed to go write a goodie box bill that allows their constituency back home to get the pork barrel. It basically says we are allowed to pass legislation in these areas. Go look at Article 1, Section 8 again. Or there's some other things in Article 4, for example, about, getting rid of property and so on. There's some other little extraneous authorities in there. But it's really pretty constrained. In fact, when the Founding Fathers met in the summer of 1787, they wrote in there that Congress will meet at least once a year because they were pretty certain once it all got set up, they wouldn't need to be panicking all the time about all this continual roll of everything, and the country had run itself. And so they says, let's make sure they meet just in case. And yeah, they should continue to meet, but they don't have authority of life over death in every aspect of Americans' lives. We're a mother may I society now. And society thinks that you got to create a law for every stupid thing that comes along. And that was not the original intent of the founders. Limited and bounded, checked and balanced. And we were not going to see big tax collectors coming around, or tax gatherers, as Jefferson called them. But no, we don't need that because they reach into your pocket every time you get paid now. They take the money forcibly, and the IRS runs our lives, and so does the Federal Reserve, and so does the wars footing with the industrial complex. All of these things have got an inordinate amount of power, and that was never the intent of the American Founding Fathers.
Amen to that, and that's why it's we the people demanding our congressmen and senators, take care of business, or else we'll find somebody else who will. That is the answer, and I know it seems like a long shot, and I get it, but hey, it's already starting to start with some of these discharge petitions, and it's already challenging the authority of Mike Johnson. And I really think that needs to happen. I think speakers have way too much control that was never intended by the founders, and it's time to rein in, take them off their pedestal, if you will, and say, hey, you don't have any more power than the junior congressman from such and such does. They were all elected equally and fairly and honestly, and let's, et cetera. All right, there's a country star by the name of Jelly Roll. Do you know who Jelly Roll is? Dr.
Sam, I'm pretty much socially inept. And when it comes to anything cultural, although by the name Jelly Roll, I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of culture involved, but I may be wrong. But so I don't know Jelly Roll. I don't know Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll is a guy that went to prison and everything else. Came out of jail, became a country star. Everybody's embracing him. He's kind of a new age country star in many ways, or whatever else, like him or dislike him. I think his music's fine. Personally, to me, it's not the greatest music in the world, but hey, he's really taken the stage by storm, to say the least. Well, anyway, now country star Jelly Roll is fighting for a pardon from President Trump. He also has a problem because he's a felon. He believes his right to keep and bear arms has been infringed. And he says, I want my freedom back. I need a pardon from Donald, and I need to be able to keep and bear arms once again. And this brings up a larger issue, Dr. Bradley, that I really want to speak to a little bit here. You go to jail for something, which he did, but he's repented and changed, he claims, and he's sorry, and but he's fulfilled his debt to society. He's accomplished everything they've told him to do. He's a free man now. And he's actually gone to work and become a great, well-known legend of a musician. The problem is he doesn't have his rights back. And I have a problem with this. You can repent before God and be made clean and whole, but you never can before government. You're forever a felon. You can never live it down. It's going to follow you around for the rest of your life. And I've got a problem with the second-class citizen scenario. It's happened to Mike Lindell. I don't know. Can Donald Trump keep and bear arms?
Well, he's a convicted felon according to the court record.
So he shouldn't be able to, but maybe he's different than the rest of us. I don't know. All I'm telling you is it's very strange how this all works, and I've got a problem with it, Doctor.
Well, I certainly do too. I mean, how do you suspend somebody's constitutional right forever? I mean, I'll just give you a really stupid, simple example, but it did the same thing that Jelly Roll is facing. This young man that I knew, I haven't known him haven't been with him for a few years, but he did something stupid as a kid and he lost his rights.
Hang tight, we'll talk about it. He lost his rights. The rest of the story in seconds. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
Isn't this great? Just the two of us. No work, no interruptions, no phone, no TV. Finally, we have a chance to just talk. I mean, how long has it been? Well, first of all, we should talk about your schedule. There are a few things that could use some adjusting, but overall, I think it's going all right. Basically, I think we're doing a pretty good job of communicating, which is good. You're doing a really good job of letting me know how you feel about things. I want to keep the lines open, if you know what I mean.
Jerry? It's 4 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing?
Oh, I was just giving Emily a bottle.
Who are you talking to?
Emily.
She's only 3 weeks old, and she's asleep.
I know. I was just practicing.
Family. Isn't it about time?
Isn't this great? Just the three of us. No work, no interruptions, no phone.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Okay, before the break, we were talking a little bit about suspending constitutional rights forever based upon some conviction of some crime. And I had a really simple, silly example. I don't know what Jelly Roll did to be put in prison, but he lost his right to keep and bear arms. And I'm a concealed carry instructor. And so, people have to, be able to jump through the hoops in order to get a concealed carry license. And I call him a young man. He's probably in his late 40s now, but this was probably 20 years ago. So, okay, he was in his 20s when this came to light. And he had I never did ask him exactly what had happened, but it was kind of a childhood prank almost. He was a teenager. I don't know if they took a joyride in a car or whatever they did, but there was some kids that did something that ended up getting them crosswise with the law. And when it came to becoming able to legally operate a firearm, and this came up totally unbeknownst to him out of the blue when we were trying to go through the paperwork, and he got denied. And it was something, he said, no, that happened when I was a teenager. He's like 15 years old or something like that, and it was a stupid kid thing. It wasn't like he went out and killed his mother-in-law when he was 15 or anything. But the point of the matter is, I'm just being facetious again, okay? But the fact of the matter is that he was denied that because of this conviction of a childhood thing that he says, absolutely, I was assured not only when I got this conviction, it would be expunged when he became an adult, but in addition to that he was assured later in life that it was expunged. And so he was being denied this, and it took quite an effort to be able to regain that right again. And again, if somebody gets accused or maybe of domestic violence or something, that's a lifetime ban. Now,
and I say that it shouldn't be. If you've paid your debt to society, you've gone to jail, you've been on probation, you paid a fine, whatever the terms are. Once you complete those terms, I just don't see how you can keep them in that, in my opinion, second-class citizen status. And so I'm defending Jelly Roll. I hope he gets a pardon. I guess what he did was he did a robbery or something like that. I don't have all the details. But he wants his constitutional right to bear arms back. I don't blame him for that. I mean, look, why shouldn't he get them back if it was an indiscretion when he was younger? If he's a changed man, he's free to go everywhere and do everything. Why would Donald Trump be, for example, a felon and not be able to keep and bear arms as President Trump? We've got to really rethink some of these things, ladies and gentlemen. That's for sure. All right, there's a late-breaking story. I want to get your take on it. Here's the headline. A temporary truce between Erica Kirk and Candace Owens? Yeah, I guess they've reached out. They're going to call a halt to the arguing. They're going to sit down with one another and hammer it out. What do you think is going to happen here, Doctor?
Oh, I don't have a crystal ball, but they're both pretty strong-willed people, and both of them have been very vocal. And honestly, I can't, who's picking a winner and a loser on this thing? And I guess a little bit of call for civility probably fits, and maybe they won't come to any agreement. But it's probably good to dial it back a little bit and see if they can't stop the rhetoric.
Well, and here's my opinion. We don't know what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't buy the official story personally either. Okay, there's too many inconsistencies for my comfortability level. But I'm free to have that view if I want to. But I don't know that just fanning the flames of this and arguing back and forth and making claims without evidence and saying there's nothing to this and how dare you to my husband. And I just don't know that we should move forward with these discussions really with all kinds of speculation and with pointing the finger at different people. And you know what? If you have evidence on a topic, release it clearly. If you don't, I'm not so sure it's helpful to talk about it. I personally believe those who really killed Charlie are not of just a redneck young man category that doesn't really know what he's doing. It was high-level stuff. And how do I know that? Because every time we drill into this investigation, it gets wider. Investigations that really come to a solution or to an answer or eventually to the truth, they narrow over time and scope. You get timelines, things narrow. You get appearances on camera, things narrow. You get, and really, to be honest with you, these investigations get narrower if you hone in on the truth. They get broader, though, if those who did it are good enough to make sure you never get the real nuggets of gold. And that's what I believe here. I think arguing about this is a waste of our time, Doctor, and I think it's just a derail that is not helpful for the country or anything else.
Well, it is distracting. There's no question about that. But I will throw my 2 cents in there. I am absolutely, unequivocally, totally and completely dissuaded from the official narrative. I mean, the official narrative is about as phony baloney as you can get. And I believe that there is certainly a cover-up. And I believe that a true investigation would begin to clarify this. As you point out, we'd be able to come to some points of clarity. Oh, man, that really did. Oh, here's how it happened. Whatever is probably one of the best, shall we say, documented crime scenes the world has ever seen. Thousands of cameras were turned on. Acoustics were going on. Individuals were there on the scene. And so
there's no question if we really wanted to get to the bottom of it, we could. But I submit to you, there are those who don't want to, and they're intentionally making the waters muddy. And those who are going on with speculation seem to just keep fueling the fire of speculation, which just makes the divide worse and the real solutions further and further from our grasp, right?
It is. But you know what? There are those that could get to the bottom of it with appropriate forensics. And I believe that it certainly is a misdirection. And understating all of my strong feelings. But the point of the matter is, I think we have been misdirected by this thing. And the people that should be performing the forensics, they jumped to the conclusion about a nanosecond after it was over. And there's so many other answers and so much other.
But do you think this is the JFK of our time?
There's a lot of parallels.
I mean, are we going to be 50 years later still debating and wondering, and people claim they have the knowledge, but yet no evidence? And I think it happened this way and that way, and where we're really going to release the documents this time, we promise. And I mean, is that where we are? Because if we are, it's just a waste of time.
I think that we are kind of at that point for so many of those parallels. It's been 62 years, and it's been a focus of energy for my life for 62 years. It's not like it's the only thing I've ever looked at, but the fact of the matter is there are so many strings that have never been pulled on, and I do believe it needs to be done. I mean, literally, this nation reached a hinge point in 1963. And so many of the bad legislation that happened post-Kennedy assassination, the Vietnam War and everything else like that, changed this nation because of what happened to Kennedy and LBJ and him taking the reins. I mean, the whole war was completely a fabrication. Kennedy was going to wind it down beginning in January of 64. There were too many Americans killed. When he found out 75 Special Forces guys had died over the years, that we had been there as advisors, he said, nope, we're not doing this anymore. I think we were about 15,000 troops before his assassination. He was going to wind it down beginning the first of the year. And when LBJ got in there, it was kind of like, bring it on, baby, the military-industrial complex. The drug culture, the sexual revolutions, the bad voting laws, the bad Medicare, Medicaid laws. I mean, we just kind of unraveled, and I think that it would be nice to get to closure on that.
I would love to, but I'm convinced there are those who don't want it to happen. And so the arguing between, say, Candace and everybody else, and Candace thinks she knows, and she claims she has evidence, and some believe she has the evidence, and some say the evidence is not factual, and this and that. And all I know is this: I don't really see the value in us arguing about this when it comes to opinion. If we can get facts and drive it home to real answers and real accountability, by all means, I would love that. Don't misunderstand me. But when we're just going to basically attack Erica, and we're just going to make claims and this and that, and, you know, I know this. There's a couple of conspiracies that are around this thing that I personally know the people involved, and I'm telling you the claims being made are completely false. I know that for a fact with two specific examples, which I won't go into at this time. But I'm just telling you that we're just into speculation heaven. And those who really want to bury this up, those who are really involved in a secret combination, they love nothing more than to see us chase neon rainbows, Doctor, for nothing. They love that.
Well, I agree. But the big concern I have is that all of these official inquiries that happen, you know, whether it's a Warren Commission report or the 9/11 report or, I mean, the Cox report. I mean, you pick any of these official, we're going to drive this to ground and we're going to find it. They're fabrications and lies. I mean, I've got them in front of me right now. It's funny. I'm looking at them at the bookshelf across from me. I keep those guys on my top shelf, if you will, because the official stuff that's happening is...
You're right. It's a clown show.
Everything's a lie. It really,
I agree,
truly is.
and that is a problem. I just don't know that attacking, you know, Erica or attacking Candace or attacking Tucker because he speaks out now on it, or attacking this person and that person.
Stu
I just don't
Peters,
really see
whatever.
how that's helpful. Right. I don't see how that's helpful.
Well, it's not. But you know what? I wish there was people we could trust. We are led by lessers, and the people that we supposedly can trust have demonstrated time and again that they're untrustworthy. And I'm worried that we, the people, are being fed a line on almost everything that's happening.
I'm going to give you a piece of good news to end the show. How's that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy announced that they're going to deal with these states issuing driver's licenses to illegals. In other words, CDLs to illegals. They're going to stop it. They're going to start withholding money. They're going to start taking action. Duffy warned that they'll withhold federal highway funds from states, including New York, who do not comply. I'd love to see it. I'm sick of the threats and the talk, and they never take action. Let's get it done, people. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. For Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com, yours truly, we are syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save our constitutional republic.